What's going on, everyone? It's Hayden. I hope you're having a good day so far, and welcome to a new video about one of my favorite topics, compounding and compound interest. So this is one of my favorite topics, and I feel like a lot of people probably have heard of the term or may even know what it is, but they may not necessarily understand how powerful it is or understand what they should do to take advantage of it. So let's just start off by talking about what it is, and I'm going to give you first the official cookie cutter definition of what it is, and then I'll kind of explain in easier to understand terms what the definition actually means. So the official definition is compound interest is when the interest or return on a loan or deposit is calculated based on the initial principal and all of the accumulated interest from previous periods. An example of this is the stock market. So it's different from simple interest, which is where the interest is calculated only on the original principal and not the accumulated interest over time. And you'll see a little bit later that that actually makes a massive difference in terms of the output at the end. So I'm going to throw up on the screen right now the actual formula for calculating compound interest. And I know at first, especially if you're someone that doesn't like math, it may look complicated, but I promise you it's not. So one thing we're going to do to make this formula easier to understand is the two n's in the formula, we're just going to erase them by making them 1. So the n is actually the number of times that interest is compounded within the period that you're using, which is going to be t. And it's not really important for understanding how compounding works or for the examples that I'm going to show you. So we're just going to leave it at 1 for now to kind of simplify everything. So if you put in a 1 for the n's, then the formula is a equals p parentheses 1 plus r parentheses to the t power. So because compound interest includes all the interest from the previous periods, it actually grows at an accelerating rate. And so I'm going to give you a really simple example to show you what that means. So let's say you start off with $1, right? Let's say we have $1 and we invest our dollar in the stock market and we get a 10% return. And we'll say the 10% return is over 1 year. So after the end of year 1, we're going to have $1 plus our 10% return, which is going to be $1.10, right? So then let's say the second year we get another 10% return. Well, this time the 10% return is on the $1.10 and not the dollar. So it's our 10% return this time is actually going to be 11 cents instead of 10. And obviously this is a super small number, so it's not impressive when you think about, oh, we got 1 more penny this year as opposed to last year.
Big whoop.
But when you use much bigger numbers, you'll see that the difference between the interest is massive. So let's just do another quick example with $1 million. Let's say you have $1 million in the stock market, you get a 10% return. That's 1.1, you get $100,000, 1.1 million. And then the second year you get another 10%. Well, this time the 10% is on 1.1 million, which is actually going to be 110,000 instead of 100.
2 plus 2 is 4. Minus 1, that's 3. Quick maths.
So in this case, you actually made $10,000 more because of compound interest than you would have the first year. So as you can see, the bigger the numbers get, the more powerful compound interest becomes. So why does this matter? So what can we take from this information? So compounding becomes more and more powerful with time, as opposed to the amount of the deposits that you're making. So I'm going to read a little short article and I'll put it up on the screen as well, but it kind of shows you the power of time when it comes to compounding and how it's different for two twins. So here's the article. It goes, young people often neglect to save for retirement. For people in their 20s, the future often seems so far ahead that the other expenses feel more urgent. Yet these are the years when compound interest is a game changer. Saving small amounts can pay off massively down the road, far more than saving higher amounts later on, which is what I was talking about a second ago. So let's say you start investing in the market at $100 a month while you're in your 20s. Then let's posit that you average a positive return of 1% a month or 12% annually. And 12% is a little more than the average stock market return, which is 8 to 9%. But it's still good for the example. So now you have a twin who is the same age that doesn't start investing until 30 years later, until they're in their 50s. But your twin is going to be investing $1,000 a month for 10 years instead of the $100 a month that you were doing. So your twin's getting the same return as you, but when you hit your 40-year savings mark and your twin has only been saving for 10 years, your twin will have generated about $230,000 in savings, while you have a little bit more than $1.17 million. So that says it all right there. It's way more important to start investing early, even if you're investing a lot lower amounts, because the amount of time that your investments have to grow is going to more than make up for the amount of money that you could afford to save later on. So in an ideal world, you'll be doing both. You'll be saving what you can. You'll be starting early in your 20s, saving the amount you can. And then as you get older, advancing your career, make more money, you'll start saving even more, and you'll get the best of both worlds from these two twins and their situation. So the title is actually not clickbait. Compounding and compound interest is the most guaranteed way to get rich that exists in the entire world. If you are smart with your money and you invest your money in something that will get a consistent return, like the stock market, which historically, since it was created, has averaged an 8 to 9% return, you are going to do very well. So one thing to take note of is there are certain investments where you may get a dividend or a cash flow out of that investment, and you may need to manually do some work to make sure you're reinvesting that to get the effect of compounding. So an example of that is if you have stocks in the stock market that pay a dividend, then you'll get that dividend in cash, and then you may actually need to physically go purchase more stock with that dividend to make sure you're getting the return on the whole amount and that your dividend's not just sitting in your account without growing. Okay, so now before I end the video, I'm just going to show you a few examples using just a simple investment calculator. You could get to this just by searching investing calculator. And so I just want to show you some cool things. So let's say we're going to start with $0. So you don't even have to have any money right now, let's say. And then let's say we start when we are 25 years old and we want to retire when we're 65. So we'll be investing for 40 years, and then we'll use 8% because that's roughly a little less than the average stock market return historically, compound annually. And let's say we invest $100 a month. Calculate. That's going to equal $322,000 when you retire. That's insane to think about. And if you look at this chart down here, it shows you actually. So only 15% of all of the money of the 322,000, only 15% is money that we actually contributed that we had to make. The rest of the 85%, which is $274,108, is all interest. That's $274,000 free dollars that you had to do nothing for but put your money in the market and let it grow. And you have to remember, this is starting with $0 and only contributing $100 a month when you're 25 and older, which is something that a ton of people can do. So let's say you're doing really well and you save a lot of money and you don't spend a lot of money. And let's say you're able to do $500 a month. Same thing, 25 until you're 65. $500 a month instead of $100 a month. Same return, still starting with $0. We go from $322,000 to $1.6 million. And look, the ratio stayed the same. Our total contributions is still 15%. We contributed $240,000 over this 40 years, and we earned $1.37 million in interest for doing nothing but putting the money in the market. Okay, one more quick example. Let's say you have the money to invest $1,000 per month, which I know is a lot of money. A lot of people don't have the money to invest $1,000 a month, especially in your 20s, and I understand that. But let's just say if you did, here is what the result would be. $3.2 million. $3.2 million. Same ratio, 15%, 85%. We contributed $480,000, and we made $2.74 million in interest. If this does not convince you to start investing, then I don't know what to do to get you to start investing. All right, so to reiterate the point that time is the thing that's important and not the amount that you're investing, let's do the same thing really quick, except let's say you start investing when you're 45 instead of 25. So you only have 20 years for your investments to grow instead of 40 years. So we're going to leave everything the same starting amount, same return, same compound. And let's do $100 a month. It was $322,000 the first time, right? For 100, 57,000 is what you get in 20 years. So waiting 20 years to start investing will cost you, what is that? Roughly $170,000. If you're investing $100 a month, it'll cost you $270,000. And look at this, our contribution is up to 42% of the total instead of just 15. So only 58% is interest. So I don't want to spend too much time on this because I think you get the point. But let's do 500 real quick. 284,000 instead of, what was it? It was easily over $1 million for the first one. I'll put it up on the screen, and then we'll do 1,000 and we get 569,000 instead of, what was it, 3.2 mil? I'll put that one up on the screen also to make sure you can compare. And now one last example before this video ends. I remember Warren Buffett. If you don't know who Warren Buffett is, he's like one of the most iconic investors of all time, one of the best investors of all time. Definitely look him up and see who he is if you don't know. But I remember him saying something about he learned the power of compounding when he was super young, like 10 or 12 years old. And he didn't like having to spend $10 for a haircut because he understood how much that money would be worth later in his life if he had invested the $10. So I'm just going to show you that really quick before we end this video. So we're going to start with $10 And we're going to say, let's say he was 12 years old and he was wanting to see how much it would be worth when he was 72. So that would be 60 years of growth, 8% return. We'll leave that annual compounding, and we want $0 of additional contribution. So we're only looking at this 10 bucks, and it comes out to $1,000 today, which is absolutely insane. And if you look at the breakdown, it's 99% interest, $1,003 of interest, and $10 starting amount. So Warren Buffett was so smart that he knew that every 10 bucks that he spent for a haircut when he was, a teenager would essentially be him spending $1,000 for a haircut 60 years later. So basically what I said earlier is this is the most guaranteed way to get rich that exists ever. And if you're a young person, or no matter what age you are, if this hasn't convinced you of the power of compounding and that you should start investing now and not wait any longer, then I honestly don't know what will convince you. A lot of this stuff, especially the articles that I read to you earlier, I got from an Investopedia article. I'll leave the link to that article down below if you want to check it out for yourself. I hope you guys learned something. This video was super fun to make. As always, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications so you don't miss a video, and stay tuned for an announcement in the next week or two about something cool that I'm working on, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.